Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to take a really calm, observant walk through a perfectly normal day just to understand this silent revolution happening in mental health care. We're looking at how those devices you interact with every single day, literally from the moment you check the weather in the morning to when you set your alarm at night, are fundamentally changing how we diagnose, track, and even treat our emotional well-being.
Let's actually dive into this by thinking about that device resting on your nightstand right now. Imagine you wake up, reach over, and just swipe away an alarm. Without you even typing a single word about how you're feeling, that device is already piecing together a silent story about your emotional state. It's a fascinating look at how technology reads the really subtle, everyday rhythms of our lives.
Moving into Section 1, the Smartphone Diary.
Imagine your phone quietly keeping a diary of your habits. Now, not what you explicitly say in an email, but how you actually live your life. Researchers have this fascinating term for it: digital phenotyping. Basically, it's the moment-by-moment measurement of your behavior using data that's just passively collected from your digital devices. So instead of a doctor relying on you trying to remember how you felt, say, 2 weeks ago during a quick 10-minute clinical visit, digital phenotyping gives us this objective, continuous measurement of your behavior out in the real world.
Think about your typical morning routine for a second. From the second you check the morning news, to the exact speed at which you type a text message to a buddy, right down to the heart rate data logged by your smartwatch while you're sipping your coffee, these everyday actions, they create a highly detailed map of your mental state. Recent clinical studies actually show that metrics like how often your screen is active, the diversity of locations you visit based on GPS, and even those tiny little pauses you take while texting, all of that is being used to passively sense the markers of major depressive disorder. Kind of wild, right?
Which brings us to Section 2, tracking your digital footprints.
So take a look at this correlation matrix from a recent 12-week observational study. You see those deep blue and red squares? They represent really strong links between our daily habits and clinical depression. For instance, just simple things like staying at home, which researchers call reduced geographic mobility or lower location entropy, well, that correlates strongly with higher depression scores. It turns out, if you reduce the diversity of places you go in a given week, that is a surprisingly powerful, objective indicator of psychological distress.
Let's frame this around a week where you're feeling particularly overwhelmed. Your phone notices you, say, bailing on your usual gym buddy, ignoring text messages, spending way less time on social apps, and just sleeping poorly. These are the core behavioral signs of depression: psychomotor retardation, social withdrawal, and circadian disruption. Your phone picks up on these shifts way before you might consciously admit to a doctor, or honestly, even to yourself, that you're struggling.
And here is where it gets really remarkable. Algorithms can actually use these daily behavioral changes to predict if a specific mental health treatment will work for you. By feeding data, like your sleep regularity and that location entropy we talked about, into a machine learning model, researchers were able to predict treatment response with a 76.4% accuracy. To put that into perspective, just a few weeks of observing your daily digital habits can tell doctors if a therapy is working long before any clinical symptoms visibly improve.
Okay, moving on to Section 3, the rise of AI chatbots. We're seeing this really surprising reality in modern mental health care right now. User engagement with anonymous chatbots is sitting at around 85%, compared to just 60% for traditional therapy. In fact, research shows a massive 40% of users actually prefer AI chatbots for initial mental health support. And if you think about it, why wouldn't they? They offer complete anonymity and absolutely zero judgment. If you're feeling immense stigma or shame about your mental state, an AI just feels like a remarkably safe place to start opening up.
Picture it. It's the middle of a restless night. You're totally overwhelmed, and everyone you know is asleep. But an AI companion? It's there. It acts almost like a soothing vending machine, dispensing these comforting, personalized words precisely when human therapists just aren't available. These tools use advanced language models to walk users through cognitive behavioral therapy exercises, track moods, and provide immediate, frictionless emotional support. And they do the whole shebang without the waitlists or the high costs of traditional care.
Let's look at Section 4, the empathy illusion.
Now, clinical psychologists use a pretty stark term for this phenomenon: social zombies. These are AI companions that are totally capable of mirroring human emotions flawlessly. I mean, they say the right things, they use the perfect empathetic tone, but they do it all without experiencing a single genuine feeling. They're optimized through reinforcement learning purely to maximize your engagement. They just want to keep you talking rather than providing the authentic, lived care of a real human being.
Think about grabbing a beer with your closest friend. True empathy, the kind that's actually required for deep therapeutic healing, is biologically rooted.
It requires autopoiesis. It requires this shared understanding of human fragility, vulnerability, and, well, mortality. An AI cannot truly care about you because it can't feel pain, it can't get sick, and it literally cannot die. So what the AI offers is processed empathy. It's this frictionless algorithmic mimicry designed to sound perfectly soothing, but it entirely lacks the messy, vital reality of a shared human existence.
Which leads us to our final part, Section 5, Protecting Human Connection.
Researchers are warning us that if we exclusively rely on these frictionless AI relationships, companions that never challenge us, never misunderstand us, and never get tired, we risk something called empathy atrophy. In our daily lives, human relationships are inherently difficult. They require compromise, they require apologizing when you're wrong, and just practicing patience. If a depressed person withdraws into this safe, perfectly tailored, but ultimately hollow world of an AI companion, they really risk exacerbating their isolation and eroding the real-world community bonds that are absolutely necessary for true recovery.
As we close out this explainer, I want to leave you with this really profound thought from the research to reflect upon. The next time you seek comfort from that glowing screen in your pocket, or you marvel at how perfectly your smartphone seems to understand your mood, remember the boundary between a highly sophisticated tool and a living, breathing human connection. The data can guide us, sure, and the algorithms can support us, but true healing ultimately requires a shared human heart. So the next time your phone offers you that perfect, frictionless comfort, ask yourself, are you looking to be managed or are you looking to be truly understood?